as difficult as the world is for black men, it is equally as difficult for black women.
Double.
And I don't think
Probably
that
harder.
Double.
It's harder.
and yeah, and I think that what we enter into in these conversations is oppression Olympics. You know,
That's true,
who
too.
has it worse, the black men or the black women out in the streets? Child, both
We
of us.
all got it hard.
Both of us. We gotta have.
So, with all that being said, she just turned around right before she said the oppression Olympics and trying to figure out who has it harder. Here goes L'Oreal talking about black women have it harder. No, you don't. As a matter of fact, when you go out there, I go out, I live in Charlotte. I go out Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Where do I see black women sitting at the most? At the table sitting at brunch. Where do I see black men? Black men at the most, for the most part, they out there working hard. We ain't got time to be out there taking brunch every weekend, hanging out with the boys every weekend. We not doing that. That's something that black women tend to take pride in. They tend to look for men that can take care of them. It's not about having a war with each other. The point is that we're better together. But we do have to get to the source of the problem. When we start looking at the problem, you actually dissect it. You start looking at, okay, why was the man pushed out the house? Did and was it a necessity to get the man out the house? No, it wasn't. You could have chose us. Yes, you could have chose the struggle. Yes, you could have chose the hardship, but you would have had somebody with you. You would have had a man raising your son. You would have had a man raising your daughter. But a lot. I could go back to videos that was filmed in the 70s and 80s where black women straight up said, I don't want a man. I don't need a man.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so you know it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
All right. Wow. So crazy, right? When you hear that. So the question is, right? The question is, a lot of women say, as Melyssa Ford was saying, they want the soft life. And they feel as if it's something that's deserved. When the product of men that what I see are the men that's my age today, right? Was babies back then in the 80s. So how can you expect that from the men today when back in the 80s, women pushed that man and said he wasn't as important? So ladies, chime in. Oh, wow. Everybody quiet. Damn.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to understand what it is you're actually like asking. Can you like elaborate a little bit more?
Okay. So the soft life, right? How can a woman today get the soft life from men that were never taught to be the men that can provide that soft life to you?
So you're saying basically, okay, women want a soft life, but the men today got so much going on. So you're saying that the women today, we want a soft life, right? And you're saying that the men today can't provide that because they never were taught how to be men?
They were never taught to be the man because it's not that we weren't taught how to be men, right? Eventually we will pick it up along the way. But we were not taught to be the men of the past where we're going to provide that for you because, as you heard in the video, women didn't even want the man at home. It wasn't even like a thing.
I mean, but why didn't they want him in the home though? What was it that they were experiencing with the man that they wanted to just be a single mom and raise the kid by themselves and not actually want a man?
Because you heard the young lady say her father wasn't in the home, so she felt as if the man wasn't a necessity. She felt as if the man wasn't really wasn't something that was needed because she didn't see it herself. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of that would have to do with the men that they got pregnant by, right? So if you watch the context of the full video, which, you know, I believe everyone should. They really pick those hood dudes to have babies by.
Mm-hmm.
Then, after they had the child by them, of course, this is the product of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, just from, I guess I can speak on my own experience. I mean, I personally would never go around and say, I don't need a man and I don't need all of that. By all means, come over here and do what you need to do. But at the same time, I don't want to be with somebody that, like the girl said in the first video, that you got to struggle and it's just so much hardship and it's not a lot of just, I guess, softness in the home that she's experiencing from her man. That's something that I actually have dealt with. I don't know if, like, is it worth it? You know what I'm saying? Like, men are very much needed, and I do want one. But is it worth it to go through a struggle and back and forth and dealing with somebody that you are having a child with and you have to take care of them? So for me, sometimes I wonder, is it worth it to go through a struggle like that just to have a man? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but my question is real quick. When we speak about softness, right? Was she saying that she wasn't getting softness due to the man in the home, or was she speaking about softness in a general sense in the video?
Yeah, I think she might have been talking about in a general
All
sense.
right.
I think so.
So my question to you is this: then why presuppose when she says there's no softness in the home, that means that the man is the byproduct of that? Why did you insert that into the conversation?
Well, I mean, because a lot of times it's a give or take, right? I think men already can have an issue when it comes to softness, when it comes to being empathetic to women. So I think that's maybe why I kind of directed it towards the men first. Um, because yeah, it's hard for men to
So when
learn how to be empathetic in certain situations, and it could really damage the softness that woman is looking
so
for.
so once again, you are assuming who said
I'm just telling you,
softness? Who said softness? She's speaking about empathy. Where do you get that from?
it doesn't. Because softness can be related to that.
It
When you
could.
have a soft wait when you have a softness that you're going back that you're needing from your man, a lot of that just boils down to them being empathetic to what you're actually dealing with, what you need to be corrected. So
Irrelevant
that's
because
not relevant.
because the reason why it's irrelevant because once again you're smuggling that into the conversation. When she spoke about softness, you're presupposing it means empathy.
Okay,
You're
so what does she
smuggling
mean
into the
then?
conversation.
So what does
Well,
she
you
mean then? If,
well
if
I have
I'm if
no
I'm if I'm smuggling it in, what context was she talking about?
well, all I know she said in terms of here in my notes, she said struggling, right?
Okay, so then
Struggling can mean financial, correct? Right?
okay, but you're still assuming, so it doesn't matter. That's
Well,
also
I'm not assuming because based on the evidence that I have before me in terms of facts, we notice that female households with no man,
that's
74% of them are living at or below poverty lines. So if
but
anybody was going to
that
make an assumption, wait a minute, if anybody was going to make an assumption, my assumption would be much more reasonable because more times than often, women who are single parent mothers are struggling 74% of the time in terms of struggling
okay,
financially. This is black
but you
demographics.
but you see, you're also assuming, you're also smuggling that into the conversation
Well,
because that was never said. You're also using hypothetical situations. You're using, maybe logical facts, but that's not. You can't say that that's directly what
okay,
she's talking
but
about.
here's the
So the
difference
same way,
between
wait,
you and
wait,
I.
whoa, 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 whoa,
But
whoa.
but but here's
So
here's
the
the
same
difference between
way,
you and I.
so the same way that you said that I'm bringing it in and that's irrelevant. Everything you said has no context either
Yeah,
because we
but
don't we don't know exactly what playing field, what area she's specifically referring to. So when
you
I say
Well,
that it could be
I
related
could
to
tell
empathy,
you,
then that's what we're
yeah.
talking about.
Well,
I could say
but
what
here's
she was
but
actually talking about. One second, Guru. I can say what she was actually talking about. She was talking about just women living the soft life, right? Being able to not struggle, not stress with your man,
Okay, then
right?
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's exactly along the lines of what we're talking about. All of that extra shit about women doing this and that, and
hey,
it's
hey,
irrelevant. That has
no, it
nothing to
is.
do with nothing.
It
That has
is. It
nothing to
is.
do.
It is.
That
It
has
is.
nothing to do with nothing
It,
because the
are
topic
you
of
gonna
the
are you gonna
video.
over talk or just or this is how we're gonna have the conversation where you
I
think
mean,
you're
but
gonna
you asked me a
bulldoze me?
question. But you
Right.
asked me a question and I'm
But you
answering,
should at
and I'm
least wait for
also
a
backing up
response.
Mingo with what he said. So go
Right.
ahead with more what you have to say. Now
Well,
that you're on
well,
television.
Go ahead,
Go.
Quentin.
Who knows the origin of
Listen, I
this?
don't have to wait for your permission to go. That's the
Go.
difference. You don't have to pressure me to go, right? That's not
I'm
gonna
just saying
happen
you
over
wanted to
here.
talk. But if you
All
wanted to
right.
Okay,
talk, then
so
So
you wanted to
what?
talk, so go.
See, this is what I mean about unruly, disrespectful individuals that can't control themselves on a public panel.
Oh my God. Boy, I'm the co-host for life.
Wow.
That has
so
nothing to do
so
Seriously.
with nothing.
we gotta keep it. Let's keep it all
Who
respectful. Keep
who
it
knows
respectful.
who
What
knows
you
the
was gonna ask,
origin of
Quentin?
this? I think Mingo did a great job at cross referencing the
Hmm.
past and the present. So in the older video, you saw that was in the what mid '80s or something like that, Mingo.
86.
So in '86, it was still women saying that we don't need a man in the house or what have you. Does anyone know the origin of that? I'm gonna just go ahead and say it because it's not a quiz or anything. This derived. This is pretty much the slave mentality. This derived from William Lynch. Let's make a slave, where the slave master said, "Well, we can't allow the men to be the head of the household because if they lead the family, they're going to have the children strong like them, and we don't want headstrong children like the men because they'll keep duplicating, replicating, and they may take over the plantation.
Hmm.
So what we need to do is put the woman in the head of the household. So anytime the family needs something, if the man come up or if the child come up, the slave master would say if they need soap or whatever the case, they say send your mother over here to get it, and mom would go get it, and the slave master would give it to the mother of the family. And when she bring it home, now the kids see that the woman is bringing home the necessities.
Hmm.
And so they start looking at the woman as the head of the household. And James Earl Jones had a video. People was getting on him about being with a white woman or what have you. And he said that black women have taken that from slavery and they have taken a grasp of it and they enjoy it. They enjoy the power of being the head of household. And so they don't want to give it up. So they want that position and don't want a man to help them in most cases. Now, quite naturally, that's not everyone, but
Right.
that's where a lot of this stem from. And so in essence, we got to learn to get out of the slave mentality before we can solve any of these issues.
Right.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Mingo. You're basically the correlation between by putting those two videos together in a sense is just kind of showing that yes, these modern women pretty much want the soft life now, but from that previous video, it's showing that look at where it stemmed from, why you probably don't have that soft life now. Because at some
Right.
point you wanted the man out of the house and you chose a single parent home. So the
Right.
correlation there is what we're kind of focusing, what I believe, this is what I got from it, why you put those two videos together and to kind of show the correlation between that.
That's right. That's right. The
All right.
whole point of it was to show, why the men today, pretty much the product of what women complain about today is exactly what women
Right.
created in the past and continue to create.
Yeah.
I still see a pattern of the same thing. It's just in a different form now of education, which kind of took away from, okay, back then we needed the welfare system. Back then, a lot of women relied on the government assistance, but now a lot of women rely on school, education, getting a career, building themselves up as high as possible to not need a man, which continues the cycle of keeping the man out the household.
And then you want to kind of turn around and then say, oh, I want the soft life after that was originally what we are creating from
Right.
what that is showing in the past.
So you no longer have the men now that have the tools to provide women the security and safety they feel like they need to live the soft life.
Yeah, because what I was saying, the lack of softness has necessarily nothing to do with the men actually being there and there's not a soft life. It's conversely the other way around. Due to the men not being within the household, they don't have the soft life. It has nothing to do with men, their lack of empathy. Therefore, we don't have a soft life. This has everything to do with the men not being in the household to provide this ideal soft life to which a woman is describing.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I see
Yeah, I
where you're
was gonna
coming from.
read one of the comments. I think it was referring to what the guru said earlier. Mongo Santini from Brazil. He says, "Well, the stats kind of is there." So I think he's referring to the statistics that the guru provided in reference to the single households.
I appreciate that.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, Husband, you or Yaz, y'all got any input on that?
Yeah, I'll definitely chime in. Women have gone. I love that compilation that you put together because women have gone away from the fathers. And what I mean gone away, I want to make it very, very clear. They have gone away from being subjected to the man. Today women believe that they're not subjected to the man, and what you saw there is even in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and going now is women that still don't believe that they have to be subjected to the men, to their fathers. Men, the reason why women have to be subjected to the men is because women are chaotic by nature. They're not able to maintain the love that this world is about love, and our purpose on earth is about love, but they get that through the father, and they're not able to actually exude love into the world because they're not subjected to the masculine energy that puts them in their feminine that they want, which is that soft life. So what they do is they go around giving this fake love, which is emotional, it's very fleeting, it breaks families, and nobody's calling them out because the men, rather, instead of calling them out and saying, instead of telling them they need to get it together, they're pandering to them, getting sex, and then the women find out this guy wasn't honest to me about who he really was. He ain't ish. So we just have this cycle when women don't subject themselves to the masculine energy, the father, because men are supposed to be subjected to God, so to speak. So it's
Right.
better that they subject themselves to men instead of trying to rely on their own vices, because the only thing that comes out of that is chaos.
I agree
Good luck getting that.
wholeheartedly, man.
Can you
I agree with
explain?
him.
Can you explain more? Go more into detail when you say women are chaotic by nature.
Yeah. So and I know for some of you who like to hear both sides, men come, since they come from their mothers, they come out chaotic. So it's important for the woman to rear them back to their fathers who
Hmm.
are supposed to have authority over her. So a masculine man, so it's not just a two-parent household that makes the child raises the child. It's actually a man being a man and
Yeah.
being a man of character, a man of God, a man of fortitude. So women, they're easily deceived. That's why there's the story about Adam and Eve.
Right. I agree. I
And her
agree with that.
women
Yes.
are so easily deceived that they can't be the leaders, and now we have a society of women who want to be leaders, and
Hmm.
that's a problem because women want to rise up because of oppression, like you said, the post slavery disorder that we have. It's not just a, we all have it, but I don't like the excuses. We are in a time, an information era, and we could do the work, and our women have tasted that power. To piggyback off of what Q said, they have tasted that power and they're not relinquishing it, which shows that there's no love in them.
Hmm.
They don't have love.
Do you think a woman not wanting to let go of that power that you're talking about, could that be related to them having a downfall or experiencing a downfall from men, like in a relationship, to where they don't want to let anyone lead? They don't want to give over that power because if I let you lead, you might lead me into a ditch. You might set me back. Do you think that that has anything to do with why women don't want to let go of that power?
Other
Absolutely.
nationalities don't have that problem.
Wait,
But I
let me
can
answer.
I
Wait, let
just
him
want to
answer.
inter.
Oh,
Yeah, I
go
can
ahead.
make it short, fellas. I can make it
Go
short.
ahead, go ahead, go
Yeah,
ahead.
No, you good,
absolutely.
bro.
When you insert, when you are, but here's the issue. That is the problem. But the problem is more so when you allow a man to go inside of you, you have to fully submit to the man in every
Yep.
way. So when you don't, what you're doing is you have all these things like that these traumas that you're still dealing with, but you're supposed to let your man deal with that for you. So it's not full submission. What you're giving men is conditional submission and You don't want to give yourself to a man until you give full submission, so you don't have to deal with that trauma of what happened to you before. Because that man you pick is supposed to be a person that's supposed to protect you. He's supposed to provide for you, and he's supposed to have your best interest at heart. Not listening to your feelings. I want to make this clear. Not listening
Yeah.
to your feelings and trying to appease you, but he has your best interest at heart. And when you
Right.
do that, when you pick properly and you say, I'm going to fully submit onto that man, you let all your problems go, because you give it on to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was gonna say that the power that we're speaking about is a power that is not necessarily conducive or actualized. What I mean by that is it's just a mirage, because this power that we're speaking about, when you think about it, especially in terms of families, is tearing up the family nucleus. Like promiscuity is at an all-time high, where if a woman doesn't want to relinquish her power and she's just raising children on her own, being incarcerated, dropout rates, education, and the list goes on and on. The production of degenerate behavior. So this power that they're holding on to, it's not necessarily conducive for the well-being of the Black community.